Thank you. Good morning at all. I am Lorenzo from Italy. I am ISP trainer, consultant, years of experience, anything else, but the most important part that I am a MikroTik enthusiast. And more than that, I am a MikroTik evangelist. Thank you. I'm used to bring at the mom a lot of my students. In each training, I tell them you have to come to know peoples, to know knowledge, to know everything else. So, I am from Italy, from Tuscany, near the sea. And this presentation is dedicated to my friend, a colleague, a student, and a trainer that is not anymore with us. Okay. Presentation objective is to raise awareness of the peering with the big players of the net using RudderOS. This is the part of the presentation. What is the peering? Peering and BGP is commonly used for having more than one ISP. A lot of networks become autonomous systems and have more than one ISP. They are used BGP for exchange routes, and this is common use. But what about the peering? Took from Wikipedia, peering isn't the interconnection, so it's a voluntary interconnection of administratively separate internet networks for the purpose of exchanging traffic between the users of each network. This is the peering, and this is how work the peer. And an agreement by two or more networks to peer is made by physical interconnection of the networks, an exchange of routing information through the Border Gateway Protocol, BGP, that is the routing protocol that routes the internet today. What is an internet exchange? It's a point called IX or IXP, Internet Exchange Point. It's a physical infrastructure through which ISP exchange internet traffic, or private traffic, of course, between their networks. They should be autonomous system. It's like a giant switch, like that. For example, I just put some very easy picture to understand what I mean. So, in an internet exchange, you can find a lot of autonomous system, AS, like Google, like Microsoft, LinkedIn, Facebook, Netflix, HMI, a lot of carriers, a lot of content providers, a lot of ISP, like you and like me, of course. What's they made for? To exchange traffic between them. So, if I am connected into the switch, maybe I am Google, and someone using HMI want to visit a Google website, should go there. And just 1, 2 hop, it's reached. It's interconnected. They exchange routes between each other without paying any ISP in the middle. This is the part that I want to tell you. So, an internet exchange point reduces the portion of an ISP traffic which must be delivered via the upstream transit providers, thereby reducing the average per bit delivery cost of their service, like this one. So you are used from your network using ISP, but if one day you will be connected to an internet exchange point, like this one, what happens? That your BGP use these routes for reaching these destinations. So you will not use anymore your ISP, but using direct connected parties. I'm talking with you yesterday, and he told me like me, my experience, that now he have 80% of traffic going, yes, I know that, going through the internet exchange point, through the peering. And it's easy to add dozens, hundreds of direct peering in your BGP router. You will reduce all this traffic that is more expensive than that. So, what I need to do that? A transport up to an internet exchange point. Usually a pseudo-wire, you can buy a transport, and I personally prefer layer 2 transport. So I have an interface that came into my office to connect and to bring you into an internet exchange point. It's usually a lot cheaper than the internet traffic, of course. Just the transport between you and one internet exchange point that you want to be connected to. Then you need to be a member into one internet exchange point, usually the closest to you or the biggest you want, it depends, and it's not expensive. In some place, for increase the peering, they bring free membership, and in most cases, it's very, very cheap to be an internet exchange point member. Then you need to be an autonomous system, of course. You need a router with BGP capabilities and some BGP knowledge, of course. The BGP is the protocol that routes the internet today and is designed for inter-AS routing protocol. It is supported by RouterOS. This is why I am here. And for every peer, for example, Google, Facebook, and the others, you need to set up a separate BGP peer. So you can establish a direct connection through an internet exchange between each member you want to be connected to. And for BGP, obviously, I'm using RouterOS since the version 3, and I can state that it's working. Why that? Because when you try to be connected to an internet exchange point, they are used to say, you need the Cisco router, you need the Juniper, you need the Huawei, you need something else, because the others don't work. Someone told me, RouterOS, BGP don't work. It's a liar. BGP is full working. So let's talk now about public and private peering. So when you become a member in Internet Exchange Point, you can participate to a public peering, so you will be connected to a route server. It is like a common router, like a switch, but it's not a switch, it's a BGP router, of course. Connecting to just one AS, you will be connected to the other members that participate at the public peering like you. And this is the first step that usually everyone new do, because just one peer setup and it's working, and it's finished the job. 2 minutes of configuration. Other people only do private peering because they want to decide the member should be connected, and maybe the price, because there are ISP or carriers that don't want to have traffic for free. So a lot of them are free and the other not. You can learn that consulting the membership list in every internet exchange. I will zoom for you, of course. So, for example, this is at one of the internet exchange point where I am. For every one member, the address, AS number, and the policy. Open, case by case, open, 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 case by case. If it's in the route server, no, yes, no, and so on. So you can find into this list the peering party you are interested for and can start a peer or not. Participating in the route server with policy open, just need one peer and you'll be connected to the other with policy open. Private peering, you can write to a member, so you can write at Mr. Facebook, for example, to request to peer. Or you can receive, it's very common, requests by others. When you become a member, you are added automatically in a mailing list, and everyone want to peer with the others, just write in the mailing list, and all the members receive the request. So your mailbox receive at least one request per day for someone that want to peer with you. You can decide if reply or not, make a peering, or something else. In most cases, the peering is free, but this is not a rule. In real life, probably you will have a public peering and some private peerings. They don't exclude each other, so you can participate into the route server with public peering, but you can establish private peering with members that also are in the route server. You can do that. What happens at your customer? Commonly, a trace route, for example, should look like that or like that. Example, tracing Google from your PC as a customer, maybe are 10, 12, 15 ops. Participating in direct peering in an internet exchange, this should be detraced from your customer device, not your device, the customer at home. 5 hop. The IP of the customer router, of course, the IP address of the concentrator of your network, the IP address of your BGP router, the IP address of the BGP router of your peer, and the IP address of the destination, and stop. This should happen when you participate at private peering with other parties. So your customer will start to think you are a real ISP. Don't pass anymore through other networks like HMI, like Interroute, like Cogent, everyone. So you will be connected to the big internet players. You are not just reselling others' internet connectivity. So let's now talk about internet exchange into the world. There are many internet exchanges in the world. The largest one for traffic is in Frankfurt, the D6. The second one is the M6 in Amsterdam, then the Links in London, then the Moscow, and so on. You can find this list on Wikipedia address that I wrote here. But what I'm talking about traffic. The statistics are public visibility on their website. I downloaded that this morning. So this is the Frankfurt statistics for the last 2 days, traffic average. Here the top is 4 terabit. So the average is 3 terabit and a half. The traffic exchange between the peers. And this is the growing into the last 5 years on the Frankfurt, the first in the world. Since 2011, see how growing in percent is, it's huge. Then the M6 that is in Amsterdam, and I am a member of that, but I am not an M6 representative, but I am just an enthusiast. This is the second in the world for traffic exchange. This is this morning statistics is near 3.5 terabit per second. It's almost reached the first one in Frankfurt. And the yearly, this is just 1 year growing, just 1 year, from 2.6 terabit up to 3.4. But the very interesting part is not just the traffic. is the members. This is very huge. Today I have 711 members. So, being there, you can peer and you will be direct connected to this member. You will be the 712, of course. They have, the M6 is very huge. It's a ring around the city. They have 4 buildings, 4 separate buildings, so you will be in one of them, depend of your carrier, of course, and you will be interconnected with the others. This is the peak of the speed. The ports connected, more than 1,000 ports. For doing that, they have photonic switch. It's impressive. And this is the capacity that they can do. But let's now to compare a difference of growing, maybe made by me that I'm telling the others my experience. This is relevated by me in November 2000, last year. This month is growing. The ports, the traffic, and so on, and the capacity also. Now compared to regional internet exchange point that exist in every country, this is in Italy, in Milan, the biggest one in Italy. It's just, sorry for this word, just a quarter of a terabit is 250 gigabit per second, of course. And in the next slide, we have the growing in 1 year. That is growing the traffic also. Okay, why should you know that? The things you should know is that internet is not only your main ISP. You can be a part of the internet and not just a customer. And you can use RouterOS for this task. This is why I'm telling you all my experience. Okay, now a little joke that happened in real life, like all these materials are made by me and by my direct experience. I'm not telling you other things. What is RouterOS? Some years ago, I had the training in RIPE, because I am a leader like a lot of you, in Amsterdam, and then I meet an M6 technician taking this training with me, and he discovered I am a MikroTik trainer, reading my notebook. So I'm show him the things that we can do with RouterOS, and he know that exists but never use one, so I show him a lot of things, very interesting things. And I said to him that I will use RouterOS for peering at M6 because I didn't start at this time. He replied me that I'll be the first one, this is what he said, because in every interchange point they use only Cisco, Juniper, Huawei. And in every internet exchange point website, you will find all the setups made and the guides for Cisco, Juniper, Huawei, and the other big players of the networks world. So, some months later, I started to peer at M6 using RouterOS, and in a few days, I had dozens of running peers, because when you start to add one, you will see that it's easy, so why to stop? Just press plus, apply, and done. It's very, very easy to do. So, this technician was very impressed by RouterOS. I never called for any help, and they are used to provide to the others. So, and the funny part is that years later, this technician met my friend Tom Smith, and Tom started to talk about RouterOS because he was starting to peer at M6. This technician, the M6 technician, stopped him and said, I know a very good technician that is using RouterOS at M6 with success. If you need help, I recommend him. That was me. So we laughed for 2 days, I think. It's very funny. So the world is really small, and RudderOS is now famous in the bigger internet exchange in the world. Epilogue part 2. In this morning, I checked the M6 website. I read lots of Cisco stuff, a lot of Juniper stuff, and in the middle, just one little things about MikroTik that recommend you to disable IP neighbor discovery. Yes, because they learn these things by me, because you know RudderOS broadcasts the NDP protocol through all the interface and is enabled by default on Ethernet interface. So in the Internet Exchange, they have a strict policy for security at layer 2 level. So you have to register your MAC address, and you don't have to change MAC address. You don't have to plug a switch in the middle. They will see other MAC address flooding, and we shut down your port for security purpose, of course, and it's right. And this protocol make traffic, and it's a no traffic. So they call me, but oh, this is traffic, a strange one. And I remember, yes, there is NDP. I just turn off in IP enable discovery, just disable. And this is the only thing you know in RudderOS. So this is a part of screenshot, is unreadable, I know, of my router. And I have 55 peers active here with almost everyone. Heavy. GoDaddy, Hurricane Electric, LinkedIn, Microsoft, everyone. It's free. I have now actually more than 1 million routes, because you will have, I have 2 upstream peers, yeah, 2 upstream ISP, and a lot of routes learned by the direct peering. So your routes increase. And Hurricane Electric have a lot of routes because selling IPv6 tunnels, so a lot of routes. Some research now. So for fast BGP knowledge, there's 2 MikroTik trainings will help you into this world. The MikroTik routing training and the internet networking, of course, about BGP. But for self-study and see a lot of examples and some very interesting case studies, use this beautiful presentation made by my colleague Maya from Brazil. You can download from the MikroTik website, the Hungary, 2 years ago. It's a Bible. It's a guide for peering. It's very easy to follow, easy to understand. It's made with heart. For BGP security tips, you should be here yesterday and follow the beautiful presentation on Tom Smith that tell you very, very interesting tips about security in peering and BGP. Now some just tips and tricks that will be useful during some peering. So that usually the others don't tell you. About security. When planning a peer, you should consider the use of MD5 password. It's included in the BGP protocol, and it's free to use that. So when you will start a peer, you have to write at the other part the password you want to use, and finish. It's just to set a password, sign a checkbox, and it's done. But this way, the connection in the BGP section between you and the other part is encrypted, so it's safe. The other security tips is the MAC address on the interface you are using in the Internet Exchange point should not change. The router doesn't tolerate this action and will close all the connection and send you an email. We just close your session because detecting anomaly traffic, strange traffic. Filtering, you have to use lots of routing filters in RudderOS. For doing that, first, to avoid to announce private addresses. It's a very common mistake. Remember that the peering in BGP is a trusted connection. So you will trust the other part. the other part will send you routes, and you will send routes to the other part. So, with routing filter, you have to protect the others against your mistakes that happen, and to try to protect you about the other mistake. So, avoid to announce private addresses. Avoid to receive private addresses, just drop them trash. Avoid to receive your own addresses, that it's a common mistake also. And avoid to be used as a transit. So, if it is not desired, you have to avoid to should be used a transit from the other traffic. And you have to manipulate, upload and download the preferences using BGP attributes. As I told you before, disable the NDP protocol and the peering-DB. If you don't know, the peering-DB, it's a free database where each AS number can be registered for free. It's a web-based database of networks that are interested in peering, which has become the default location for internet peering data. So you can find all the peering into the world in this website that is private for consulting and for writing. So you can know where an autonomous system is connected. For example, you are interested to have a peer with Facebook. For example, you can find, looking for Facebook into the peering-DB, you can find in which internet exchange point in the world is present and which capacity, the IP addresses, if interested in public or private peering, for free, for pay, everything else. And the contacts. So, I think it's not readable. Yes, it's readable. This is, for example, a screenshot of Yahoo into the peering-DB. So you can see all the public peering exchange point, where is, which capacity, which IP addresses, IPv6 and IPv4, of course, and private peering facilities, and the policy, AS number, the objective, the peering policy, and the contacts, email and phone for knock, for anything else, because you should be in contact with the other parties that are peering with you. BGP community. You know that you can manipulate the BGP community into the BGP protocol. With the BGP community, you can manage things of your peering partner without calling him, without writing him. You can do it yourself at home. And they are very useful in real life. You can know all the available BGP community settings from your peer, asking him, or querying public DB like RIPE. For example, let's have a look at Cogent, that is one famous one, just for illustration purpose. So you can see some communities that they have. Using these settings, you will change with local preference. You can set customer route, for example, local preference to 10, to 70, to 120, and so on. You can change local preference on the other side of your network without calling nothing, without writing in real time. For example, not to send routes in some country, if this is allowed by your peer, of course. And this one is the most interesting by my think. Do not send route to peers. So, in case of very, very huge DOS attack, you know that the two first remedies is the first one to make a black hole route in your BGP router, so the traffic will drop instantly. The second one is to call your SP. You have to stop this address, it's flooding me. With communities, you can just use these commands for this AS number, of course, and you can remove some addresses to be announced from them. You can change the prepend, that is the most BGP settings used to choose the peer to use for the most traffic for each route. Changing the prepends, do not announce or prepend 1, 2, 3 times. Some routing settings for USA or EU. So I suggest you to use community BGP a lot because it's useful for you. Then another settings is the prefix limits that just a few people are used to tell. So in every BGP peer, you can specify a limit of prefix that are routes. Prefix is equal to routes to be received from this AS. So you can prevent to receive huge of routes, maybe by route leaks. Someone made a mistake and send you a full routing table, a wrong one, of course. So when you will start a peer with another part, you have to tell him the IP address of BGP, the MD5 password for security, and how many routes you have. I have 10 routes. So he can adjust the prefix limit to 12, maybe 13, 20, no more, and vice versa. So if you know that the other part announced 50 routes, you can set the prefix limit to 60 and no more. When reached, don't accept more routes. Here, in router OS, there is the max prefix limit. This is, I think, is for Hurricane Electrics because I have a lot of routes. And then shit happened. This is an email that I received from an M6 member. Just the last month is not old. So someone made mistakes and lose 3,000 bogon prefix. So announced 3,000 bogon prefix. So what to do in this case? You have two ways to protect you against route leaks. The first one is to adjust the prefix limit, like I said before. If you are peering with him, and maybe he announced just 20 routes, set the prefix limit to 30 and stop. If he loses a lot of prefix, you will trash them and stop. The second one, in this case, to peer with a specialized team of security, like Tom Smith said yesterday, like Team Simru. So in this case, you are protected by bogon prefix routes. Then, by the peer status in router OS, you can check the uptime and the prefix count. So if no one tells you, you can count and adjust the prefix according to the routes that you receive. In this case, I received at least 60,000 routes, I think is the previous one, and I adjust the prefix limit to 66,000, no more. And then some funny part. The first time you will try to peer with others in router OS, you are very curious about watching the routes you receive, a lot of routes. Winbox usually advertise you. He tried to protect you, but no, you are curious. And everyone I know have clicked just one time in their life. Me too, of course. I was one of the first. I clicked. This is a red flag. But it doesn't matter. I click. So what happened? That all the routes, in my case, are more than 1 million, are sent to your Winbox client and saturate the memory of your PC, and the Winbox will crash. It's easy. This is what happened So you can't use RouterOS, but you have the command line interface for doing this task better. And you can copy and paste from my slide later when published on the website. The common commands used by me are this. IP route print count only. We print all the routes you have. Routing BGP advertisement print peer name. We print the routes by this peer. Or you can print detail if you want to see all the settings, BGP pet, AS pet, local preference, and so on. And this is the most important command. It's easy to know after 2 or 3 times that use. This command will search an address, a single address, in all your routes and print on screen. That is common use for identifying where an IP address, which peer will use, or from which peer you will receive these routes. This will search the IP address without knowing the network announced that it's commonly used. And the last one, just print the routes received from a peer, for example. And this with an example is readable, yes and no. It's small, but there is no space on the screen, sorry. This case, I made a search and I received these routes from 5 peers. From 5 of them, I received these routes with all the AS path. See that it's very, very long. And I'm using just 2 of them, 1 and 2. The peer where you received the route, and so on. So, time to close. I tell you to expand your network and become a real part of the internet, not just to buy one. Use RouterOS for BGP. Don't believe the others. In every training I made, everyone tried to ask me, but I have to start to peer, but I need to buy a Cisco, which one? And I said, what? Sorry? What do you need? A CCR. A CCR costs less than 5 times at least. And we work. Improve your BGP knowledge following a training and watching slides and presentation of the others that I told you. And quoting my friend Smith, buy bigger router BH, of course. So this is why I'm telling that MikroTik is routing and peering the world. Thank you. Some question? I will send you a mic.
Thank you. I read on the internet, and that's never wrong, that the MikroTik BGP is quite slow. How fast do you load the full table?
It's not slow. So I'm thinking you are telling me about the time for loading the routes.
The full table.
Okay. No, it's fast. It's depend on your peer side. Okay. So a lot of bigger players limit the speed of sending routes. In the process, priority of the CPU of their router. So, in my case, I learn 2 full routing table in about 45, 50 seconds.
Okay, that's
if
nice.
You have the speeds, of course, the CPU, RAM, everything else.
What to run it on CCR? Or
CCR. Yes.
How big for CCR?
It's not big. 2 GB of RAM. It's 9 core. So
okay.
It's not huge.
Thank you.
Other question? Yes, one.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
So, my name is John Brown. I'm from the United States, and I can only say that looking here, this is my first mum. If you're not peering with your neighbor, peer with your neighbor. Peer, you can build exchanges with a MikroTik. You can build an exchange in your community and take 3 or 4 ISPs that you might be competing on the sales side, but exchange your traffic in the background. It'll make the network better for your customers. I have over 800 BGP peers. I used to have 4 transit providers. I turned 2 of them off because over 80% of my traffic goes across peering connections. Peering works. It's really, really good. You need to get out there and peer like crazy. And a CCR 1036 or similar, it just works. It's not hard. To the question a moment ago about how long does it take for convergence or the route table to load, one of the other things that you'll find that adjusts that is making sure that you're not doing things with ICMP that causes path MTU to have problems. BGP uses TCP as the control signaling protocol, and you want to make sure that path MTU works. If you can get large MTUs and you can push that back and forth, your route convergence will happen a lot faster. But I'm very glad to see that Lorenzo, who I only met yesterday, is here advocating peering. Get out there and peer. Next year, next MUM, you guys should all be peers with each other. And if you're not, don't come.
Thank you. So, another one?
Hi, just a couple of additional informations. In most of the exchange points, you actually need to have also some kind of authorization for announcements, so a route object or a letter of authorization, as far as I remember, as it's called in States. So this is necessary, at least for most of the exchange points that I'm aware of. So you guys have to do that before you're going to start exchanging routes. The other one is you kind of advocating prefix, maximum prefix list, which is fine generally, but if you're going to put a number, let's say a 10, and let's say the peer now is announcing 5, even if you're going to put 5 and he's going to announce 5, that doesn't help you in some kind of edge situations. So basically somebody is announcing, let's say, a /24, and now he's going to do configuration again. Instead of saying /24, he's going to say /2. You screwed. So the best way to do it is actually to, based on those route objects and authorization objects, to create a filter for each of your peers. So he's announcing only what he has, not whatever he wants in the number of prefixes. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And one thing that I have to add, that I forgot to add and to tell you, is the RPK protocol. That is a protocol, a new protocol made for security purposes. So the BGP router check the route exchange between the others, consulting the public database like RIPE, for example. So deny to announce wrong routes. So it's not implemented actually in RouterOS, but they told us that they will implement in the next versions. You will find in the forum BGP feature request, and they are hearing for you about this implementation. Actually, just Juniper, I think, have maybe Cisco in the last months implemented this protocol that is experimental at RIPE, of course, and will prevent route leaks and to announce wrong routes, because, as I told you before, the peering in BGP is a trusted connection. So you believe in the routes the others send you. This is why Google was offline some hours 2 years ago, because someone in North Africa started to announce Google routes they propagated, and Google was offline, of course. This can happen. RPK. You can find at RIPE, there is a section for every documentation, but it's not already implemented, but they tell us that they will implement soon. Okay, no more question? No. Thank you.